Here with us today. We'll be starting in about 1 minute. We're going to wait for a few more people to go ahead and get into the room, and we'll get started in just 1 minute. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. We want to respect your time and just happy you're here with us. I know the last few weeks of school, this week and next week, and just want to say thank you for your work with all students. And we just want to get started and excited to share these new milestones, this work with our partnership with California colleges. So our counties, I think one of the first counties in the state, we're almost completely full implementation in all of our high school districts. We have one district left to go in this county to be using California colleges as in a partnership agreement. And so we're just excited, more to come this coming school year in terms of working together and expanding our partnership for utilization for our students. But today we're really going to focus on the upcoming milestones for financial aid available to your students. So just want to let you know this is being recorded. This webinar will be recorded. There'll be plenty of more opportunities for your colleagues and other partners, principals, et cetera, to join and learn more about these milestones come fall. But I rushed and I said, Maya, we got to put something together because so many of you have been asked to work on financial aid or college affordability this summer. And I didn't want you to put work into something that has already been done for you. And you're gonna have ability to provide this to your students and your families. So just a few virtual meeting tips as always, we're recording. If we get kicked off because of Zoom, we'll let you right back in. Also, like I said, we're going to partner with our California colleges team, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. Hopefully you know already that the governor has on his FAFSA, a FAFSA California Dream Act budget proposal to make it a requirement, not a graduation requirement, but a requirement for the state that LEAs, which is us, school districts, county offices, will have to help all students through the financial aid application process. FAFSA or California Dream Act, there will be an opt-out process as well, but this is on the table right now in his budget proposal. So not only will it be a requirement for us, but there'll also be funding that goes with it. There's also a bill right now, AB 469, a FAFSA and California Dream Act completion bill. So in alignment with the governor wanting to make it a requirement, we also have the legislature pushing this as well. And then last year we had, actually 2 years ago, actually 2018, Assembly Bill 2015 was signed by Governor Brown. So this is before Governor Newsom took office, which says that LEAs, school districts, school boards were required to give FAFSA information to all students before they start the 12th grade. So we've kind of gone from giving information to making sure they actually do the application. So this was supposed to go into effect this school year, but because of the pandemic, it was paused and it was postponed to go into effect this fall. So it's required. This is already passed. This is not a budget proposal or pending legislation. This has already been passed. We have to ensure students have this information, and we can actually do this by student. Now, it's not one of these like, yeah, we gave them a handout. We can actually verify they received this information through these awesome new milestones through California colleges. So with that, and those of you, hopefully I know almost all of you, but I didn't introduce myself. I get so excited about this. My name is Catalina Cifuentes, if you don't know me already, and I'm the Executive Director for College and Career Readiness here at our COE. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to our amazing partners with CCGI, Maya and Jeanette. Thank you for being here, and I'll stop sharing, Jeanette, so you can share your screen.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. My name is Jeanette Nikolakopoulos. I'm the Deputy Director of CaliforniaColleges.edu, which is our website. Before I get to the demo, Maya, did you have anything you wanted to say? Okay, cool. All right, let me share my screen. Oh, Kat, you need to allow me to share my screen.
Okay, Jamina will make you a co-host, just a second.
Okay, awesome, there we go. Okay, everybody, you should see my presentation deck at this point. All right, so we are super excited to share with you guys what we've built for financial aid. We'll just dive right in. So we really wanted to create something that was self-guided so students can independently navigate these lessons. So these lessons hopefully create a motivated mindset to apply, the guidance to navigate either application, tracking tools to monitor progress and correct errors in the application, and finally, we take them through the end of the senior year where they would need to select the best offer. So we provide them confidence, we're hoping, in selecting the best offer. I'm going to admit people since I'm host. Oh, maybe somebody else will. Okay. Sorry. I'm
We'll
getting
take care
some
of it, Jeanette.
notifications.
No, no,
Okay,
we'll
cool.
take care of it.
Awesome. Alrighty. Okay. So one more piece of context that I wanted to share. So we did extensive research into this, behavioral science research, design principles. We met with some consultants. We also leveraged our own expertise in the field to really create an experience that was research-based. So our curriculum is guided by these 4 tenets. So first, simplify. We want to reduce the cognitive load and make sure students get the information simply and basically on a need to know basis. So I'm going to go over that in a second when I show you the actual prototypes. But basically one example of this is using rules of thumb. These are like brain shortcuts. It reduces the students' cognitive load because we make a decision for them. For example, you'll see in the first module, we tell students that they should start in September, their financial aid application, basically. The second tenet is facts only. So we discovered that stating anything that's a myth or not true has the risk of implanting that in a student's brain. And when you're talking about something as complicated as the financial aid applications, you want to make sure everything you say is true. So all of our materials, any sort of quizzes, checks for understanding, everything is a true statement. There's no trick question, there's no false statements, no mythbusters. It's all going to be true. The third piece is time-based. So it's very important with financial aid, especially, to show students the deadline. So they learn the information when they need to take action on it. So to this end, we also have these visual cues of progress throughout the modules, which you'll see in a moment. And the last piece is checklists. People love checklists. Students, all kinds of learners love checklists. It presents actions in a way that is easily digestible and it reduces error. So the checklists really come into play in the senior year financial aid lessons. Okay, a couple more pieces here. So we conducted a usability study in November with actual students, and this validated the major features of our new feature. So we wanted to make sure we actually got students in there and they loved it. That was super exciting. And finally, what I'm going to show you in a moment is already in development and it's cemented. So if you have suggestions, we would implement them in the fall 2022 school year. So what you're going to see is how it's going to look for fall 2021. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the structure for each grade. So we decided that we want to make sure educators are have the option. So there's flexibility. So you can start these lessons as early as 6th grade. Some districts really want to start in middle school, and that's great. Or you can wait until high school. So the first module is for 6th through 10th grade. And really this module is about learning the basics. Again, it's need to know basis. So it's simplifying the information. And it was important for us to set the tone at a young age that financial aid is accessible. We want to make sure kids look at this like, this is for me. I should apply, right? The money is for me. I'm the candidate for it, because there's potentially some myths out there about who should apply, who shouldn't apply, who would qualify. So we really try to mitigate that and make sure that students understand that really it's accessible and it's for you and there's money waiting for you. Okay, the 11th grade is where we get a little bit more deeper into the content itself. And if students complete this first module called Understanding Financial Aid, they will meet the AB 2015 requirements, which Catalina explained to you guys, right? This is already approved and it's law basically. So if students complete this first module, then the school is meeting the requirements for AB 2015. And there's 2 lessons in this first module for 11th grade, how and when to apply and what it's like to apply. And then module 2 of the 11th grade really digs into college cost. And we make a clear distinction between net price and cost of attendance. In our research and talking to practitioners, we discovered that there is a misunderstanding about what the real cost of college is. So we dig into it. We talk about net price and we direct students to go to the actual college websites where every single college has a net price calculator on their website. The reiterated message, so the message that's just a running theme throughout these modules is that applying for financial aid is free, fast, and safe. We included that word safe here on purpose because we want to mitigate any sort of fear or nervousness that some of our students may have if they're nervous, if their parents potentially are undocumented, right? So we want to show them, hey, your parents' citizenship status is completely irrelevant. It's not even asked on the application. So you can feel safe in applying for financial aid. So that's 11th grade. Okay, moving on to 12th grade. 12th grade is the meat of it. So in the 12th grade, we actually have 6 modules. I won't read them to you, but they're listed there. And we have provided a customized experience because we know that the information you need to know as a FAFSA applicant is quite discrete and specific and different. And the information for the CADA applicants is totally different. So we actually created 2 different paths and the students will select one. And yes, leading up to this point, we believe we've created a scaffolded experience where students will really know which one is for them and they'll make the right decision come 12th grade. So the goal for these modules is really we push students to apply as early as possible. So it opens October 1st, but we want them to start right away if they can, because we know that state funds deplete as the school year goes on. So we don't want anyone to be waiting until March 1st to apply. In these modules, we provide handy checklists, and we call them to-dos. And again, this is because there are so many actions for students that they have to take. So we mitigate error, provided in checklist form for them. We also have a comprehensive tool where they're going to be able to compare their offers. So one thing we discovered when students were looking at their offers, they weren't looking and comparing the different types of aid. So with our lessons and our tool, they're going to compare the loan from one school with the loan of another school. The grant, the free money of one school with the grants or free money of another school, right? They're going to compare in that way. And it's like an itemized comparison, because then they'll actually know, oh, it seems like this school's giving me more, but they're not, because most of it is in loans. So maybe I should really consider this other school. So a very important step for seniors. And finally, our reiterated message throughout is that most of the things you need to do are very time sensitive. So we kind of reiterate and present the information in the time that they need to do it. Okay, a lot of context and information there. I apologize if that felt like a lot to take in. Now I want to show you the actual tool itself. All right. I am just going to show you 12th grade. So right here is the 12th grade home screen. So we're going to pretend that it's September and, you know, we're getting ready to apply. So, ooh, there's fun graphics here. So opens October 1st. So this button right here, it's disabled until they're allowed to apply, which is October 1st. So it's grayed out. And once it hits October 1st, it'll become an enabled orange button. So again, we're pretending that it's September right now. These right here, this to do, Once the students actually unlock lessons and they start accumulating action items, this would populate to show the number of things they have to do. Okay, let me show you the lessons. So you click here to open the first module. So the first module is complete prep work for your FAFSA or CADA. Here's the rule of thumb that I've mentioned before, right? So start in September to be ready in October. Again, we want to just keep repeating that so they understand there's a bunch of materials you can get together so that you know when you start in October and you actually launch your application, you have everything in front of you. So there's only one lesson, it's the prepare lesson. So here we go, let's take a look. Okay, so every lesson begins this way. We have a key facts slide here. So we have the rule of thumb that we just keep repeating, start in September. And then we have 1 to 4 key facts in every lesson. This particular lesson has these 2 key facts. These are just a little bit more detailed pieces of information for the lesson. So the key fact, you'll fill out only one form, either the FAFSA or the CADA, and most high school seniors need their parents' information for the FAFSA or CADA. So every single lesson begins in this way. We click next slide. Here we go over this is just actually an introduction to the lesson. And then here now we get into the nitty-gritty. So the dependent versus independent. So a lot of students need to know that their parents' information, financial information, is required to submit the FAFSA or the CADA. So we explain to them, here's the situation. If you're independent, it's pretty rare, but if you are independent, okay, you would not need to include it, but most high school seniors need their parents' information. All right. Legal parents. So this is another big thing. So maybe you realize, okay, I'm dependent, so I need my parents' information, but who is technically a legal parent? So the thing that's interesting is, certain governmental agencies define legal parenthood in different ways. So we present to them, this is what you need to know for completing your FAFSA or CADA. Here's how they define legal parent. Now, remember how I mentioned that there's a lot of information and we're trying to reduce the cognitive load? That's why we've introduced these FAQs within the lesson. Every family is unique. We cannot give them all this information in one place and potentially confuse people. So we organized it in the form of FAQs. Students are very familiar with how this works. Again, we tested this in the usability study. So they can just expand and get more information by going through and seeing what we have to, what they need to know for each unique situation. So that's a key way we've reduced the cognitive load for students. Okay, so up until this point, right, they've learned a lot and now they have to make their decisions. So this is the 12th grade year where they need to pick FAFSA or CADA. And again, we've scaffolded this, since the 6th grade, hopefully, so they understand. So this is a key slide right here. This is where they pick. So let's pretend I'm FAFSA. So I pick FAFSA. And from this point on, I'm going to have a customized FAFSA experience. And every lesson ends the same way with this conclusion slide. Okay, so this message just confirms what you've just done. Everything's now updated to FAFSA. Okay, got it. All right, now, as you can see, I have 3 more lessons in this first module. Review your FAFSA checklist. Only a FAFSA student would see that. The third one is create your FSA ID. Again, this is just for FAFSA. And finally, update your college list. So it's a customized experience. And at this point, now they can unlock these lesson resources. Because we know there's so much more you could possibly need to know, but we don't know who needs to know it. We've also added supplemental resources in the form of these lesson resources, and they're unique to each lesson. There might be some overlap, but basically it's extra information that you could turn to if you want to learn more about the various topics that maybe we just gave a cursory overview of in the lesson itself. It just so happens I have nothing to do for this first lesson, right? There isn't a specific action item. So when there isn't anything to do, we actually just write that there so that it's clear to them. And as they start the next lesson, they would be able to see numbers start populating if there are action items tied to the lesson. Okay, the visual cues I mentioned before, right? This green check mark, the students in the usability study loved that. And as you progress through, right, these would turn green as you complete them. And the arrows kind of pointing down show students, okay, this is what I have left to do, basically. Okay, so that is the 12th grade experience. I'm going to go back to the actual demo itself because there's a couple more things I wanted to share with you. So as educators, as teachers, you want to help your students. So we have a report that you're going to be able to pull to see where your students are at. So reports are available to view module completion for all the grade levels. So remember how I mentioned that in the 12th grade, it's a customized experience, FAFSA-CADA. Educators won't know which path the student has picked. This is intentional, right? It is a private matter. If the student wants to share which application they have picked, they can, of course, do that, but we're not going to give that information to the educator. So the module names are the only things the educator will see, and the module names are irrespective to the path, right? They're generically worded. So we're hoping that educators being able to see what, how many students have completed this, and then you can see which ones haven't started such and such module. This allows you to give targeted intervention and really save time and energy and focus on the students who potentially are stuck. The other cool thing is that in the report, you're going to be able to select dates if you want to do a comparison. So let's say you want to see who has completed module 2, in September, and then you want to compare to who's completed module 2 in January, just to see if your interventions have been working. You can pull the report and compare those pieces of data. So we can't show you the actual report itself because it's still in development, but I just wanted to show you like a summary table to show you what you'd be looking at when you pull the report. So we have these various categories here. Again, the goal here is to save you time and focus your interventions on the students who need it. So as you can see, right, we have students who've not started the 6th to 10th module. There's 5. If you click on this number 5, you would then see the list of students and their emails, and you could quickly send the emails or whatever other intervention you'd like to take with those students to understand, why they haven't started. Okay.
Jeanette, we have questions, so I want to definitely pause because I've been getting
Sorry,
private chat
I know.
questions. It's okay.
So much
No, that's okay. No, I love it. No, I love it. And I think I just want to reiterate, these milestones are coming out in the fall.
Let's go.
And the goal was to just give awareness to all of you, because I've heard some districts talking about paying people to do things this summer and build lessons. And I'm like, no, don't. You don't have to. It's been done. So that was kind of the goal today. So I know some of you want to get in there and start looking at them. Don't worry, there's going to be plenty of time. They're coming launching this fall. So one of the questions, and I think just clarifying, how are we supposed to help students do their FAFSA if we can't see what's happening? And I just kind of want to say it's similar to when they do the CSU application. They just launched from California colleges. It's still going to show the FAFSA application. So can you walk them through that? It's not like you're filling out the FAFSA on the platform that pre-populates into the FAFSA. You're still launching and you're going to see a FAFSA. Thank you.
Yeah. It's interesting somebody asked that because we actually explored the concept of an iframe, which just means that the application would be within California Colleges.edu, and actually we could not go down that route for legal reasons. So our lessons, think of it as like, the students would have a tab open of the step-by-step guidance, and then they would have another tab open of, on the actual FAFSA website, the DREAM Act website. So that is the only way we could do this. So students are quite adept in understanding how this works, that they would have to have a window open, they would get our guidance, and then another window where they would actually fill out the application and type in the answers. But again, we are providing that much needed step-by-step guidance. And the way we've organized it, when they get to starting their application, all of our materials, which is module 2, all of the materials in module 2 go in the same order of the applications.
Okay, so those of you who are using, just like when we do the CSU applications, we launch from there, but we see the CSU app. So next question for you, and I saw it earlier, and this one thing that I loved about when I first it was demoed to me was you have identified not the exact times, but recommended times. So one of the questions is, on average, how long are each of the customized lessons? And you've kind of put time along about how long it'll take for each one. So I don't know if you can answer that, please.
Yes, I can. The average time for each lesson is 15 minutes. And, you know, there's some lessons that might go a little bit over that, a little bit under that, but in general, the average time of each lesson is 15 minutes. What you're seeing on my screen right here, these are 6 modules, right? There's lessons within those modules. So a module might take more than 50 minutes, but a lesson would take 15.
Okay, perfect. And thank you for covering the data piece, because that was another question I got in the private chat. And then another one was, and I'm sure it's going to be covered more with all California colleges trainings in the future, but I don't know if Maya, one of the questions I received was, well, the trainings on how to use this, I think just in general, the model going back into person, how most of all of our school districts are going back, the training that California College is going to provide, is it going to be in person, Zoom, or both this fall?
Zoom. Yeah. So one of the shifts that we made, both because of COVID, but also because over the next 5 years, we're going to be scaling to the entire state of California. So we're about 100 districts now. It's going to go up to the 600 and change, including charters across the state. So we're moving all of our training virtual. That said, like, for example, if you know, Catalina, you wanted to do Riverside specific trainings, we'll do that. It just still would be via Zoom. There might be, you know, exceptions to that rule, but yeah.
And I would just echo what you said, Maya. We will work with you if there's a need. Even if someone from the California Colleges team can't be there, but we have another district, like someone from Marietta Valley Unified who's been using the platform probably one of the longest, or Desert Sands, we can maybe get them to help us. We'll work on it. So if there's a need, you just let us know and we'll work together. And then if you or Jeanette can clarify, we keep saying the fall, they're thinking August, September, July, when it just, I know we can't, you know, I guess a month would be great.
August, yeah, because we know schools start in August. So yeah, August is the goal. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I have another question, but I'll go ahead and let you keep going, Jeanette, so you can get through, because I know I did get a private question about the different grade levels, because I know we have some middle school leaders and counselors and administrators, and I'm super excited because we've shared with them, research shows we should not be talking about this at senior year. The earlier we can talk about how to pay for college, even in middle school, it changes students' attitudes about their grades. So I think I'll let you keep going, and then we'll go back to some of these additional questions. Thank you both. Thank you.
Kat, that was actually the last piece I had when I was talking about the educator report, that summary table. That was actually my last slide. So we could definitely field any other questions, or I can go back to any slide.
Can you go back to the slide with the different grade levels then, please? That'd be awesome.
Yes.
The different examples of the different grade levels that they can do for their 6th graders, 7th graders. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So do you guys see this one right here? So this is the slide on 6th to 10th grade. So again, this can be done, any 6th grader through 10th grader will have access to this module. So, you know, your school, you guys can determine which grade level would be best. We also have a recommendation that we can make, but really we wanted to provide you guys that flexibility, because even some 10th graders who may have learned this stuff, you might want to have, you know, certain learners get a refresh and go through the module again. So it's just one module, 2 lessons. So each lesson roughly 15 minutes, and really we're giving them the basics. I don't have the ability to demo it for you. The demo that I showed you before was for the 12th grade. So this particular module for 6th to 10th grade, I cannot demo for you today, but I can tell you that the information covers a lot of things students are starting to think about, right? Like, what is the actual cost of college, right? So in this second lesson, we really break down for them, what does this all mean? What are the different forms of aid? What goes where? So we break it down for them, again, in a simple form, because it can get quite complicated. And like I mentioned earlier, we just want to make sure students believe that that college is attainable, right? We want to create motivation and foster the belief that this is for them. So that was really one of the main goals of this first module.
Thank you. And I want to say we've been looking for different funders or sponsors that will be interested in incentivizing our students. Because one of the questions I saw from Joshua was how do we teachers, and you're so right, when we go back, they're going to be so guarded with their time. We're inviting math teachers to come learn about the new lessons. Also, just different teachers that work that would touch, social science teachers, et cetera. But it is something that's going to come up. So I thank you, those who are putting in the chat, some good ideas on how to get this implemented. But I want you to know at the county, we're also looking for funders that will be willing to incentivize if, by 10th grade, you finish these lessons in California colleges, you'll get this, what a $50 gift card or whatever. We're trying to work on ways to help you incentivize these things so that's one thing I think, Jeanette, you explained, they're very self-paced. Ideally, they'd be awesome to do with a teacher, but students they're so detailed and step-by-step tailored to a student, they can do it on their own after school, right? So I don't know if you want to add to that.
Certainly, yes. So, in the COVID environment, of course, we needed to pursue this, but also, as we know, students, they're adept at this. They like, getting on their phone, getting on their Chromebook, whatever, and going through their lessons at their own pace. So we wanted to build that ability. And the way we've designed it, because we're trying to also save educators time, the beauty is there isn't any prep work that an educator would necessarily have to do, right? Of course, it might help the educator to go through and see what the student will be seeing. And we have a way to do that. We'd be providing the materials, basically all the lessons in PDF format so that educators know exactly what's covered ahead of time, but really just giving the student that agency and ability to go through and navigate at a pace that works for them, at a time that works for them. We wanted to build that flexibility. And of course, in some situations, educators might want to be a little bit more prescriptive and say, it is the month of September of senior year, we are all going to complete module 1, right? You can definitely take the more prescriptive stance for certain groups.
Perfect. Okay, so is it the same 2 lessons for all grade levels? Can you talk about the differences?
Yeah,
between the grade levels?
I know it's a little bit confusing because we just want the option. So these 2 lessons, what you're seeing here, it's one module with 2 lessons, and that's it. That is the module for 6th through 10th grade. So at any point in 6th to 10th grade, this is what they'd be learning, this module with the 2 lessons. It's the same thing. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in the 6th to the 10th grade modules, do you go over the differences between a Cal Grant A, B, GPA, and household income eligibility? And I wanted to add to that question before you answer. The California Student Aid Commission actually has a bill right now on the table. And the bill is to simplify Cal Grant simplification there won't be no more Cal Grant A, B, C, all that. It'll be a Cal Grant 2 and 4. 2 for community colleges, 4 for 4-year colleges. So more information to come. That bill is making it through the legislative process, but that's going to help. One of the things is eliminating the GPA, letting the institutions decide the GPA, since you can't go to UC without the 3.0 or above. Why are we doing GPAs? So I can put in the chat some more information about Cal Grant simplification, because James, that'll help a lot of those conversations we have to create lessons to teach them this complicated Cal Grant process. So
we have it.
But go for it, Janelle, I'll let you answer.
Yeah, it's in there. I just wanted to confirm, so I just pulled it up on a separate screen here, but I can confirm for you that yes, one of the things we touch on in this module is the different types of aid. So students have no idea, right? There's free money, there's borrowed money, there's earned money in the form of work study. We break down the categories for them. And then in the free money category, we break down what the heck are these Cal Grants A, B, C. We break it down for them, simplify it for them. So that is covered in this first module for 6th to 10th grade. And there were other income. What were the other? I can do a quick, if there's anything else you guys want me to double check, I can do that.
We have a question about explain scholarship options. If there's any information on the scholarship options.
Yeah,
okay,
definitely. Yes. We certainly explore that possibility. We let them know that there's literally thousands of scholarships. There's a scholarship for a student that has 2 different colored eyes. this exists. So we let them know that there is so much money that our country really wants to help students go to college, right? There is lots and lots of free money out there.
Okay. And then I put in the chat the report on that Cal Grant modernization that I just shared. It's not, it has to go through, it has to become law, has to be signed by for law, and it's a process, like I said, to simplify. One of the things also in there is, you know how we always get seniors that come back, or students that graduated 3 years ago and they come back for their GPAs. We'd be eliminating all of that. There won't be any competitive. Okay, if you've been out of high school only for a year, you can't get a Cal Grant, you're going to competitive. So right now, any student, our class of 21 students are guaranteed a Cal Grant if eligible. They get a guaranteed grant, but after a year, then they go in a competitive pool. Part of this modernization proposal is to get rid of that, right? So if a student that comes back 2 years later, there you go. So anyway, so more to come as that makes through. If we find that it's going to pass, believe me, we'll throw a webinar together and get that information out too. But in the meantime, based on the current structure of how Cal Grants work, Jeanette confirmed that it's in there. Okay, so I'm trying to see what other questions. We haven't seen any other questions. I don't know, Maya, if there's anything, because everyone's so busy right now. I won't keep them to the full time if we don't need to. Today was really about them knowing we have lessons coming. Don't write anything, don't create anything. You can track the data, you can track completion. You can actually say we can meet AB 2015 and 100% of our juniors all finish this milestone before the end of the year. Go ahead. Okay.
I got nothing. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Alrighty, so yes, the next question, get a copy of this presentation. Yes, we will send a copy of the presentation, the recording, probably about an hour or so. We'll send that out, and more to come. Mike, if you want to just share, or Jeanette, you're just doing this for our county, just to give us heads up. Like, you're doing way more statewide push. These are coming webinars, trainings, because a lot of them my teachers couldn't be here, my counselors couldn't be here. So I know I just did a big statewide email blast, I think day before yesterday, talking about the launch. So I don't know if you want to just close out with some of that as I wait for last minute questions.
Yeah, so we're gonna, starting in the fall, we'll start offering regular training on the financial aid feature, as well as all of the other things, Cal State Apply, CCC Apply, et cetera. And so any educator can sign up for them at a time that works conveniently for them. Catalina, I will send you the link to that website too, to sign up, so that you can share that as well. There's no financial aid training listed just yet, but just so you have it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I don't see any additional questions. I'll give a few more minutes and then we'll close out. I did want to say, hopefully you all received an email, just some final closing out, because I know we're in the last 2 weeks of school. We launched finally after delay, College Comeback 2020. So we'll be working with RCOE, we'll be working with any of your students from class of 2020 that have not enrolled in post-secondary. We know you're taking care of class of 21. We will take care of class of 2020. So you should have received an email with that information. All we're asking for you is to just please, I don't know if Jamina, if you could put in the chat if you have time, the link, just send your students to this link. If a class of 2020 student comes back and says, you know, Mrs. Gardner, I want to go back to school. Can you help me? Send them that link, say, hey, sign up for an appointment. I know some of our districts, Jurupa Unified, and I know Marietta Valley is actually paying their school counselors to work this summer to help last year's seniors and this year's seniors. So shout out to that, to those two districts for doing that. But if not, that's okay. We're going to help our class of 2020 students. If you want your list of students that have not enrolled in college, we created those lists using your National Student Clearinghouse data. So go ahead and email Jamina, and she'll put her name or email in the chat, and she can send that to you. So we're going to be collecting data, giving you information when you get back from summer break of which students we met with and what happened. And we're finding things already, like I have 3 community college students. They didn't enroll because they didn't have a device when we turned the devices back in. So some of our districts let you buy the device to keep it. Some districts, you have to turn it in. So we're even doing that level of outreach. We have a company that donated devices to us. And so if you know of a student, your district doesn't do that, doesn't let them keep the devices, and they need that device to be successful, they don't have one, please shoot me an email. I have devices that were given to me that I can give them. So something as simple as a Chromebook stopped them from enrolling in school this last year. So we're here to help you. And then just one reminder, if you're our high school counselors, we still have Story 2 tomorrow. So if your juniors need personal statement bootcamp support, we have a boot camp going. We're going to do one more before the end of the school year, and then we'll probably do another one this summer. So with that, I don't see any additional questions. Jamina, thank you. You put that in there, and you also put the college comeback. Perfect. Okay. Alrighty. So we're just thankful. Like I said, today was quick. Just wanted to let you know what was going on. I want to thank Jeanette and Maya for your work, and so they don't have to we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to create lessons, PowerPoints. We just have to help implement this, and then we'll be doing more to come. But like I said, I just appreciate you both so much for taking the time to do this before the rest of the state gets to see what's coming. Okay. All right. Any final thoughts, Jeanette, before we close out?
Nope, that's it. Thanks for your time, everybody. We're really excited. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great summer. If I don't see all of you, yes, we will include middle school. We never forget our middle school counselors and teachers. Thank you for being here. All right, everyone. Have a great afternoon.